Hello, it's Stephen Bedard here, and I want to talk to you about the real victims of the Ravi Zacharias abuse scandal. And I really didn't want to do another video on Ravi Zacharias. A lot has been said. Everyone has an opinion. Someone recently on Facebook posted that unless you have something new to say about Ravi Zacharias, stop doing videos and blog posts because it's all been said. And yet I feel like there is something else that has to be said, something that is not really getting a lot of attention. And I want to thank my friend Dean Proctor, who reminded me of this, and in many ways I have felt convicted by his comments to address this. A lot of the conversation that has been going on about the Ravi Zacharias situation has fallen into basically two camps. One is pastors and apologists and other Christian leaders scrambling to figure out how can we prevent ourselves from falling into such a sin. So a lot of people are trying to bring back the Billy Graham rule, or coming up with other kinds of ways to protect ourselves from falling into this kind of sin. Some ideas and suggestions there are more productive than others, but that is what a lot of people are talking. And of course, there is a place for us to talk about that and to figure out how we can prevent ourselves from doing that. The other area of discussion that is going on is often among the apologetics community of people responding by saying, how do we move on from here? How do we redeem the role of apologetics? And actually, part of this conversation is people who are feeling betrayed by Ravi Zacharias. There are apologists and other leaders who were inspired by his example. They appreciated his ministry. Perhaps even his work was instrumental in their own conversion or their own call to ministry. And they're feeling victimized. They're feeling like they have been betrayed, that they had this great hero and he has let them down and they are hurting. And I've heard a lot of people talking about how much they're hurting in these days as they are trying to reconcile the picture they had of Ravi Zacharias with what the evidence seems to point to. And so they are hurting. And I don't want to diminish the fact that people are hurting. For myself, I wouldn't exactly say that Ravi Zacharias was a hero. I did appreciate some of the things that he did. And I will say that reading the reports has been a punch in the gut. But who are the real victims of Ravi Zacharias? The real victims of Ravi Zacharias were the women that he abused. And not a lot has really been said about that. There, of course, has been maybe a short comment of, we're sad about the victims. It's too bad that they had to go through that. And then they would move on from there. It was sort of a launching pad to what they see as the real important issue, which is the legacy and all of the other things that are going to go on, and how apologetics will continue and so on. But these are real people. These victims are people who have suffered and are continuing to suffer. And in fact, I have seen some terribly heartless comments by Christians towards these victims. I saw one person, and sad to say it was a woman, who commented on Facebook that since Ravi Zacharias didn't use physical force to make them have sex or to touch him or whatever happened, that it was their own fault. Unless a woman is physically forced into the situation, then it is their own fault and they're the one to blame. I couldn't believe that someone would say that. That is disgusting, to be honest. Anyone who knows anything about sexual abuse knows that physical force is only one of the ways. There are other ways to manipulate people, and the evidence is there that Ravi used spiritual abuse in order to make these things happen. And so that is as coercive, perhaps in some ways even more so in some cases than physical forcing and physical abuse. So I couldn't believe that people would say that. There are others, of course, who are looking to discredit them. Like I'm sure that they must be lying, because why would they do this? There's no way that Ravi could have done these things, so they must be lying. Other people are pointing fingers at them, saying, well, why are they bringing this up now? Why would they say this now? So there's something suspicious going on here. But you know what? Sexual abuse and rape is a terrible thing that not only affects the body, but affects the mind as well. And we can't imagine the emotional turmoil that they have gone through after being abused by someone who is respected so much by the church. We actually saw the same thing with Jean Vanier's victims, that they waited until afterwards because he was such a respected person, and that it was so difficult for them to bring these things. And again, if you study sexual abuse, you will see very often people do not report it right away. It happens sometimes years, sometimes decades later. And this is something that is common. That psychiatrists and psychologists know that that is the way things often happen. And we just have to take a moment to say that some real people really were hurt and are continuing to be hurt. And I want you to imagine, what if the people who were involved who were victims of Ravi Zacharias, what if that was your wife or your daughter or your neighbor or someone who you are very close to? Imagine that they had to be put in that place where a religious leader used his spiritual authority to make them do terrible things. Just put yourself in that kind of place and have some sympathy and worry about them, because you know what? Long after RZIM figures out what they're going to do and apologists move on from here, those women are going to continue to struggle with the consequences of what happened. Those wounds will continue to be with them. And I would encourage you to talk to people, victims of sexual abuse, who are open to talking about their experience, and to hear from them the kind of pain that they are going through. It is really important. And so who are the victims, the real victims of Ravi Zacharias? They are the women that he abused. I am sure that you're very sad that your apologetics hero has fallen, and that is really unfortunate, but you're going to get over that a lot quicker than the women who are abused will be able to deal with their pain. So thank you for watching this video. Would love to hear your comments, and please visit my website at stephenjbedard.com.